Welcome back. A different campaign strategy in 2024, and longtime Manchester Alderman Joe Kelly Levasseur might have become the Republican nominee for Congress in the 1st District. He could shake things up again in 2026, but there are still many question marks hovering over the political landscape. Here to help us find some answers is the man himself, Alderman Levasseur. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's revisit your 3-month, 110% pro-Trump campaign for Congress last year. It almost worked in that 1st District Republican primary. You know, on election night, when we saw the numbers coming in from Hampton and Seabrook, two really solid MAGA towns, and you were running behind, we thought, oh goodness, that, Trump or bust message didn't quite make it to the people it had to get to. So if you had to do it over again, what would you do differently? Well,
I would look at a map and figure out the district. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was, and I would have spent a lot more time over there. 90 days, by the time we get our signs in, everything, we were really running on about a 60, 75-day campaign, putting up a lot of signs. We had a lot of weird weather, too, a lot of rain. But there was, if I would have, honestly, anybody who wants to ever run for Congress, don't sign up on the last day. Get in 3-6 months earlier. Figure out where you're going to go. Make your get your signs already set up, your website already set up, all those things set up and ready to go, and then do the hard work and go to all the committees. There's a lot of opportunities to go meet people, but there's 35 towns and cities in that district, and I probably covered about 25 of them. And the ones that I missed, Seabrook, I did not realize was such a strong Republican town, and so I needed to make more get in there more quicker. Money is always a major issue also, so.
Yeah. It's notable you did as well as you did in that short time frame. It's not official yet, but it looks like all systems go for Chris Pappas to run for U.S. Senate. How does that reshape, if that happens, the race for Congress?
Totally changes the landscape. I think he's the only Democrat that could win that district. You can see what happened. He was executive counselor, and he won that Republican district. And then as soon as he bowed out and moved on to Congress, Ted Gatz just walked right in, won every term, and then John Stephen has continued that path, and I think that's what's going to happen here. There's an opportunity for a Republican to win now that Pappas is out, and we have to choose the right person.
Where do you stand in a possible run for Congress in 2026?
Well, the last two congressional races were from Seacoast, right? We had 2 good candidates come from the Seacoast. One lost by 9.1%, one lost by 9.2%. One had 12 million, the other one had about 500,000. They lost by the same numbers. It's probably time, and I thought it was this time for sure, but it needs to be somebody in the Manchester district. I think the Manchester area brings, if you have a lot of name recognition, I did really well in the towns that I've run in before for executive council. People know me in this district around Manchester. I got to move over to that side and get help. But, if we could work with one candidate and galvanize one candidate, we probably could pull this off. And boy, I'll tell you, Trump's going to need all the support. He's going to, he needs, as every congressman who can win, he's going to need them this midterm, I think.
The party in power tends to face some political headwinds in that midterm election. How does that factor into your decision?
That is a big decision, but if Sununu gets into the race, he's going to bring in a ton of money into this state. Him at the top of the ballot will bring all of the rest of the Republicans up. Scott Brown I like very much, but Sununu just has all of the tie-ins. He has all the money, has all of the experience, and he's very well liked in this state. So him getting in would really make this a very interesting race. I think might equalize what the Democrats will come after us with.
And timeline for you, when do you think you'll make up your mind?
By January.
Okay.
Yeah. I got to finish my alderman seat here. I've got a little more time to go, and then if I'm going to get in, I want to get in, starting January and get a real head start. They may be moving the primary up to June, which will really change things.
Both the House and Senate have passed that now, and Governor Ayotte has said she wants it. So it looks like it, but we'll see on that one.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. We talked about the political headwinds. Trump is usually so decisive, but on tariffs, we've seen him go back and forth. He's wavered a little bit. They're on again, they're off again. And we've seen the markets respond to that uncertainty in a less than favorable way. Wouldn't he be just better off taking a position and just bulldozing ahead like he usually does?
I think he makes these decisions, and I think he's playing negotiation games. I think he knows, okay, this is where we want to get, and the way we're going to get there is by putting these tariffs in. And then you've seen many countries cave and give in to this master chess player who seems to be ahead of the game. I really believe he thinks that we're getting a very unfair deal. I mean, steel tariffs, cars, autos, all of these different manufacturing companies have been, you know, we don't have the same strength as, like, you know, Japan. 40% of their cars are sold here. We sell 1% over there. He's trying to level the playing field, and by trying to level the playing field, he's getting some kind of concessions, which are helping this country. I think we're going to see a big boom in a year. We should see a really good economy.
It should be interesting to see how that shapes the discussion in 26. One early bellwether for 2026 and any midterm election, any election really, is the Manchester mayoral race. What does it tell you right now that the Democrats still haven't identified a high-profile candidate to run?
Yeah, that's real. I always said if they don't have a candidate in January, they're not serious. So now we're at the end of March, we're going into April. If you're not if you're not involved in this race, raising money, and you're going to need a lot of money to beat this incumbent who's done a good job, who has done what he said he's going to do. He's coming in with a 2% increase on taxes this year. Crime is down. Everything's going in the right direction for him. And they don't have anybody serious who needs to raise at least $400,000 to be in this game with Jay. It says that, you know, they usually give you a second term as, you know, if you're a first-term mayor, and they know that. And the people that they've mentioned don't want to lose their seats where they are now because they figure in 2 years there'll be an open seat, most likely. But it says that they're not organized or they're just afraid to lose, I think.
You're an attorney. You are known for fighting your fights, and regardless of the odds, often upstream, you can do it on your own. You've done it that way for a long time. You know, with your experience in the law and also being so robust in your pro-Trump attitude, do you worry about overreach at all as he signs these executive orders targeting individual law firms just based on who they've represented in the positions they've taken in court?
Yes. You know, I'm afraid that this is just going to be a ping pong game. Every 4 years we get a different president, a different body in there, and they're just going to keep wailing on us with lawfare. And you know, it came at us hard from the Democrat side. They came after everybody who was affiliated with Trump, and now Trump, who doesn't have to run again, can do these things. And yeah, it's a little bit unnerving, some of these things and these tactics. And I'm worried if he, you know, if he's not the president in 3 more years, is it going to all come back the other way? And it's discouraging to have to worry about these type of things. I've been the subject of lawfare in this state, of our own state, and it costs you money, it costs you time, it costs you sleepless nights. And so, yeah, I think we have to be very careful with this.
Yeah, the power of the state is something in those situations.
Sure, it really is. They are unlimited money, you know.
Alderman Levasseur, thanks for joining us on Close Up. We always appreciate the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
All right, and when we come back, former executive counselor Andrew Volinsky will join us to discuss his new book and where he stands on a possible run for U.S. Senate.